live yet? Let's see. And we are live.
Yay!
I know, it's very exciting. We'll give everyone some time to get here. So if there is anyone here right now, feel free to say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're from. We love to know. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of these, before we start these little bits to find out where we're pulling people from, who's interested in where. We always get some people from pretty interesting places. Last time we did this, actually, I said that I asked if anyone was from Rochester, and someone actually sent me an email afterwards saying they were from Rochester. They were watching this live, so that was kind of cute. Yeah. Anyone from Wisconsin? Molly, anyone other than you out here?
If we have some cheese heads.
Oh, we got a cheesehead right here too. Getting ready for football season, but we're not there yet.
No,
not there yet. Let's say we got Flagstaff, Arizona, Oakville, Ontario. We got Ontario. We got the UK. We got NYC. Oh, we're hitting all the Anglo countries to start. That's kind of nice that we're getting a little variety. Charlotte. What else do we have? We'll give, if you're here, just take a second. We just want to make sure that as many people can come join us before we get into everything. And then we'll hunker down and Molly will really take us into this. Let's see, anyone else? What do we have? Oh, the Isle of Wight in England. We got some Maryland, go Terps. Well, we really have a bunch of people from Canada. I feel like this is a first time. I don't know. I mean, Molly, I know you're a lot closer. I guess we're both kind of close to Canada at this moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
different parts of the border, but different lakes we're bordering on.
Yeah.
We got Seattle, Washington. We're getting some West Coast action as well. Oh, this is a great time. Let us know if this is if it's been your first, if this is your first webinar with us, maybe it's your 15th. I don't know. We'd love to know how many times you've come. If this is your first, let us know. And we're hoping that we can keep you entertained a little bit and you can learn something great out of this. We really got people from all over, which is great. But it seems like we have a pretty decent start. We've already got a bunch of people here. So how about we get started, Molly? How does that sound?
I think that's good.
All right. Well, so thank you for everyone for being here with us this afternoon or this morning or this evening, I guess, depending on where you're watching from. I'm Matthew. I'm with Photomyne, and I just wanted to welcome you to Organize Your Photos Once and For All, Part 1 with professional photo organizer Mollie Bartelt. She's the co-founder of Pixology. I'll let her get into that a little bit more. But unlike our past webinars, actually, today's session, like I just mentioned, is part 1 of Mollie's 3-part masterclass in organizing your photos. So this week, the next Tuesday, and the Tuesday after that, we're going to be splitting her masterclass up so she can, so you guys can come join us again and get all the tips you need to help organize your photos. Now, before I let Mollie take over, I have a few quick reminders and announcements, especially for those who might not have been with us in the past. After the webinar is done, we're going to have a Q&A. So if you have any questions about the things that Mollie's talking about, please write them in the chat and we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. And whether they're about Photomyne or about Pixology or just organizing your photos in general, whatever, if they're directed to Mollie or myself, please write them in the chat and we'll try to get to as many as possible. Also, after the webinar is over, we will send a recording of it. So let's say you have to step away or you're going to have to miss half of it. You can still see the whole thing. We'll send a link with the whole entire webinar. Also, in the next couple of days, look out for the RSVP and an email for part 2 of her masterclass, which I said, which will be next Tuesday, July 19th, again at noon Eastern. Other than that, I think, Mollie, it's your turn to take over.
All right. Thank you so much, Matthew and Photomyne. I am so passionate about helping people save their photos, and Photomyne's been just a great partner in helping spread the word, because I think consumers are starting to recognize that they might have a problem with getting all their pictures in one place so that they can be enjoyed and saved and passed on to future generations. So you might ask, why 3 parts to this masterclass? The honest answer is organizing your photos, both print and digital, is a topic that has so many moving parts. And I thought it might be a good idea to split this up so that you could digest, what I'm going to share with you today, and then get prepared for the next 2 weeks, because for most of the people that I work with, organizing photos is not something that's done in a few weeks or even a few months. It can be a year-long process, depending on what you have going on. So that's why we're doing this in 3 parts, and we'll see how this goes. I wanted to give you a little bit of background on Pixology. My friend Ann and I founded it in 2013, and we thought the name was great, The Study of Life Through Your Photos. So I'd like for you to think about, what do your photos tell you about your life? All right. Now, we're going to be celebrating 9 years at the end of this month, and we have gone through some changes. Our place in Milwaukee, we had delivered hands-on assistance and training, and then services to organize and scan photos. But the pandemic hit in 2020, and our business changed. And we started beginning to focus on consumer education, and we have a lot of information on our YouTube channels. From my experience of working with people online, I've realized how important it is to educate consumers and create awareness about the importance of organizing photos. So today, that's what I do, a lot of this kind of education. In addition, we organize people's entire photo collections at our offices in Milwaukee in the form of a photo estate. And we have more information about that on our website. For today, I wanted to just share with you what the agenda is going to look like for the next 3 weeks. We're going to have an introduction, and I'm going to talk about photo management programs and the roadmap that we have established here at Pixology for saving your pictures once and for all. Next week, we're going to talk about finding it all, organizing, and curating your photo collection. And then on July 26th, 2 weeks from today, we'll talk about using and saving your photos and handling technology issues. I've laid this out, and you'll see the path, and it will make more sense as we go along. So for an introduction, I like to share my definition of a saved photo. You can find that picture or video when you want it. And I mean, like, within a few minutes of starting to look for it, okay? You're not going all over the house trying to find that bin or box, or scrolling through your phone, for 10 minutes trying to find a picture only to get frustrated and stop. We need to be able to find the important photos when we want them. I also believe that your photos, your photo collection should be backed up in 3 places. So, one place would be an external hard drive that you have copied your photo collection to. Another place might be an online location, but 3 places is really important. And I have been the recipient of a technology disaster where I lost family video. So I really stress this. The 3 places, we'll be talking a little bit more about that, but for sure you want a copy in the house and a copy outside of the house. The third part of my definition is that that photo or photo collection is going to be around for future generations. And, what does that even mean? What does that look like? Well, we inherited things from our great-grandparents and, our ancestors before us, because physical things were passed down. Moving forward, we have the opportunity to pass things down in a physical format, but more often, people are thinking about the digital format. So how can we be sure that our digital photo collection is passed on to the future? And we'll talk about a solution that I refer to occasionally with this. Now, the FOCUS acronym is really important to our process. I have establish these words based on the word focus. And focus reminds us, to pay attention. Like, we have to really hone in on the things that we need to get done. It's a perfect picture. I mean, it's a perfect word to be working with our photos and our memories, to focus on it. Because honestly, when you're working with your collections, whether it's the print or the digital, so many things in life can cause us to, leave our project where it is. And sometimes days go by or months, and then you have to figure out where you were. We need to focus to get this done. The words are: find it all for F, organize it, curate it, use your photos, and then save your photos. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the use your photos, because I fear that people spend way more time on this little area, which is actually a massive area. Using them is, all of the photo books that you've made, the wall prints that you've ordered, or, a photo on a mug. We're using our pictures without giving thought to how we're going to find them in 2 or 3 years. Okay, under use your photos, I just put the 4 areas that I think distract us from the larger purpose of saving our pictures once and for all. Using your photos includes editing them, referencing them, sharing them, and creating. And that leads us, to having photos that have been shared instantly, with someone through your phone. And then 2 years later, when you want that picture, you either have a low resolution copy of it, or you can't find the person who sent it to you in the first place. So I really like to help people think about the find it all, organize, and curate first, and don't be distracted by using your pictures, or thinking that that's just enough to save your photo collection. The last icon there for save your photos is a family tree, and that's what I mean by it. It's not just saving your pictures to another thumb drive or to some cloud site. It's making sure you are saving your collection for future generations. I have 2 examples here of a project that was really fantastic, 2 projects. On the left-hand side, I have a screenshot of a slideshow that one of our clients worked on really hard for his family. He wanted to show the immigration that his ancestors went through coming to America. And it's this beautiful 17-minute slideshow. And before coming to us, this slideshow, he worked hours and hours, probably weeks on it to get it just right. And he shared it, on his computer at a family reunion. And then it just stayed on his computer, and he had a link to it on Vimeo. It's like another video storage site similar to YouTube. So it just sat there and nobody was accessing it. Also, if people did access it, they could just watch the slideshow. They couldn't get the pictures out of it. And that's, what I'm talking about. We can use our pictures for a project, but if we can't find them in the future, we've lost something. On the right-hand side, this is actually a digital scrapbook page that I made back in 2011. I borrowed these pictures from my aunt, and the photo book was great, and these were fantastic pictures. Now, my aunt passed away in 2017. And all of a sudden I realized I didn't have the original scans for this page. I must have scanned them. It was back before, we were doing Pixology, and the scans no longer existed on my computer. So I have this screenshot of a scrapbook page. I would really like to have those physical pictures back. And my aunt, bless her heart, and her family, she had 4 sons. And nobody can find where these pictures are now. So we want to save the original pictures and then use them in our projects, okay? And just bringing back the acronym here, we want to look at those first 3 as our focus of work, so that when we use our pictures, we know the originals are safe and they'll all be able to be passed on to the next generations. Now, sometimes people are looking for the perfect solution for managing their pictures. And I just put a question up here. Can a photo organizing program solve all the problems that we have with managing our photos? And you might have used a variety of programs through the years. I'm not certain, what everybody's using out there. I think sometimes we just rely on the fact that our phones are taking pictures and they're saving somewhere. But I have this question come up, and I've studied it over the last 2 years, working with people who've talked to me through YouTube. They're looking for that one solution. Before I answer this question, I want to explain what photo management program options are. Like, what do you have out there that can help you with your pictures? There are 4 types of photo management options: the File Manager program, the File Viewer program, photo management program, like a full service software that you install on your computer. And then we have online photo management. So let me show you what these consist of. A file manager program is simply the programs that are on your computer to manage your folders and files. So on a PC, it's the File Explorer, and on a Mac, it's the Finder. All right. A lot of people do organize pictures by folders. And I know this because the majority of people looking for help search for how to use Windows File Explorer to manage my photos. All right. On the right-hand side, you can just see a listing of folders just by year. And the little carets to the left indicate that there might be nested folders within it. All right. And we'll be talking more about that next week. But File Manager program is the first type. Now, there are programs that allow you to view your original files and folders. Okay, these are file viewer programs. The edits are saved directly to the photo or to a copy of the photos. And it varies depending on which program. But I've listed a few here: Adobe Bridge, Picasa, which I'm surprised today that people are still using this. Google discontinued Picasa over 5 years ago now. Photoshop Elements is another one, and the Windows Photos app. When you do work in these programs, if you access the picture outside of the program, you might not be able to view the edits that you've done to it. So you have to be careful. Also, if you move the original folders of photos to a new place, like, in a different place on your computer, or you move it to an external hard drive, all the changes that you did to those pictures will be lost because you've disconnected the original folder. You have to be very careful using file viewer programs. The next type is the photo management program. This is that full software that you install on your computer. You import the pictures into the program and you manage the photos from within the software. If you want to use the pictures for anything, you need to export them, all right, to a folder on your desktop. And these programs are great. I called it like a parking lot where your pictures just sat in there. And then when you needed them, you could pull a copy out to use it. Examples of photo management programs are Apple Photos for Mac, Mylio, and Forever Historian. I really like Mylio. I just have a screenshot here. When you import the pictures in, it automatically sorts the pictures in a calendar view. So you can see I have photos in different years. Mylio is very powerful. However, you have to use it routinely to remember, all the tips and tricks of using it. And I have found that sometimes people, start in it, and then they leave it for a few months, and then they don't remember what to do, and they have a mess. So you when you use a photo management program, you want to be using it every week so that you're just really comfortable and you're on top of your picture collection. You know where you ended and you know where you need to start. I put a couple screenshots up of Apple Photos, because for people who are Apple product users, you do have the photo management program that syncs everything together. And this is a powerful way to work with your pictures. So I have right now the phone app is showing on an iPhone. And then the next screen here is if I logged into iCloud.com, I would see my photo collection up there as well. Then if I go to my Mac computer and open the Photos app, I have my Mac computer where the pictures come down to my computer and I can work with them, right on my laptop. So you can see the power of working with something like this. Now, the problem with Apple Photos is we take pictures of way more things than just our family, right? You can see I have work photos in here, and really the only pictures that matter to me are the bottom row. If you see my daughter, she's test driving a Mini Cooper, and that's going to be her first car when it's ready. It's got smoke coming out of it now. That's the only one that matters. So when you use your phone to take pictures, you're taking pictures of so many things, and you kind of get lost. Your family memories can get lost in that clutter. So it's just an observation that I wanted to point out. Now, the last, I did skip one thing here. When you right click on a photo or control click on a photo in the Apple Photos app, it does allow you to add a description and a tag. So you can see I circled in red, that I added that information. The only way someone's going to see this is if they're actually looking in my program at this information, or if I export the picture with the data. So I have the export dialog box here, and I have title, keywords, and captions selected. I have to export this picture with that information, to a place where then I can email the picture. And then the recipient of this photo would have to open it in a program that can read the keywords and caption. It's quite complicated. And it's part of all the moving parts that go with organizing photos. I just wanted to point that out here for you while we were in the photo management program section. The next option for managing your pictures is an online photo storage site. This is a website where your photos are stored and can be managed. So Google Photos is the obvious one for Android users. iCloud is for the Apple users. And SmugMug is another one. And then Forever Permanent Storage is one that I like to recommend. I wanted to just point out again, here's that iCloud.com. For people who use iPhones that have a PC computer, you are able to go to iCloud.com and download your pictures. I wanted to point that out. Now, in iCloud, you cannot add those tags and descriptions like I showed you in the app on the Mac computer. And this is why I think Forever is kind of a simple solution. You can upload your photos. So I have my month photos uploaded. And then when I view the picture, you can see on the right-hand side, the description and that tag is visible. And I can share it at the top. You see the share button, and I can share it with anybody that I want through email. I can do text, and I could post to Facebook if I wanted. So that is, an example of something that is a little simpler to use. Oh, and I circled it there for you. If you want to know more about the photo organizing programs that are out there, I have a whole playlist on YouTube that you can check it out. I think the more important question is, when is the right time to use a photo management program? And that is going to lead me to talk about the Pix photo plan, a roadmap. This is the roadmap for how we organize photos here at Pixology. And we have the focus acronym. And I always think about the balance. I want to create the simplest, maintainable workflow. That's the goal. And to me, in my mind, it starts with folders on your computer. So we mentioned already the PC is File Explorer and the Mac is Finder. And I teach people to have a photos to organize folder, a scanned photos folder, and a master family photos folder. The goal is to find it all, organize and curate it so that everything is in your master family photos folder. So how do we do that? All right, here is the roadmap. It's looking pretty empty, but don't worry, I'm going to fill this up. So we start with digital pictures, finding all of your digital pictures. Now, in my explanation of this roadmap, I'm not going to tell you how we're going to do that. We're going to cover that next week. So you're definitely want to come back. Once we find all of our digital pictures, we get them in that photos to organize folder. And I know that probably sounds a lot easier than it actually is, but we can do that. We can get all of those pictures to our photos to organize folder. Then we're going to organize them, and I'll give you those steps. Once the folders are organized, we are going to curate them, and that includes consolidating years and months of folders. It also includes running a duplicate finder. I'm pretty confident that you probably have duplicates on your computer or somewhere. It's just, we've been working with digital pictures for 2 decades now, and it's inevitable that we have doubles of our digital pictures. So we have to use a duplicate photo finding program. Then after that, we move those cleaned up folders to a master folder. All right, remember that master folder was the third folder I showed you. Once it's in the master folder, it's cleaned and it's in great shape, then we can consider a photo management solution. All right. Then for printed pictures, we repeat the process. We find all of the printed pictures all over the house. All right. We want to do this once and get it done. We do not want to find a box in some hidden drawer. So you're going to spend your time finding all the printed pictures. And then you are going to organize them. And I'll share the process that we use to go from a huge stack of bins and boxes and albums to get it organized down into something that's really manageable to work with. We also will be curating those printed pictures. And that means, really selecting carefully what should be saved. Then they have to be scanned. And this is where you can have a scanner, or Photomyne has the scanning app, and you're going to get the picture scanned, and then they will be moved to the master folder. All right. And then they can also be imported or uploaded to the photo management solution. So the master folder, in my mind, is the most important place on your computer to have your family photo collection. Whether or not you use a specific photo management solution will be up to your personal preferences, but working with folders is the simplest way to get your pictures consolidated to one location and then import them into a program like Mylio, or upload them to Forever or something else that you're interested in. So in this roadmap so far, you can see the find it all, organize, and curate. All right. Once you have them in the folders and or imported to a program, then you can start to use your pictures. All right, this is where we can edit them. We can reference them, and I'll be explaining what all of that is. We can share them. Think how many times you've shared a picture and you skipped everything on the left-hand side of the screen. And I know it's hard to think about not sharing a photo until it's saved, but if the photo is worth sharing, it's worth saving. And, we want to get into the habit of actually saving our photos on a monthly basis. And I will tell you how to do that as well. So using your photos, that's the U in focus. You can see that there. And then we have saving your photos. All right. And that's for generations to come. And you're going to have some decisions on what that looks like. And that is the roadmap. There are so many moving parts in this, and I am certain that people might have questions. I definitely want you to know I'll be covering a lot of the nooks and crannies of getting this done in the next 2 weeks, and that this can be done if you are focused about it and motivated. And that's what I'm here for, is to help encourage people to get through this, to be confident that you're doing it right the first time. So that is what I wanted to cover today. And I'll turn it back over to Matthew.
Thanks so much, Molly. That was great. So as Molly said, we're going to take some questions now. So if you have some, please write them in the chat for the video, and we will make sure we'll get Molly answering as many as possible. I'm sure there's a couple things she probably doesn't want to spoil before the next couple, but we'll see exactly what kind of questions you guys have, and then we can go from there. But thanks so much, Molly, for sharing and getting everyone started with this. I think this roadmap is a great way to get started and understand what you need. Any questions? I'm not seeing any so far. Let's see.
I have found, sometimes it's just so overwhelming to think about where to start. And I think that sometimes you don't even know the questions that you need to ask until you start digging into it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, we have some comments coming in. All right. So one person asked, how I have a desktop, laptop, Mac, iPad, iPhone, all synced to the iCloud. How do I not fill up my laptop with photos?
So on a Mac, you can optimize your Photos app. You can also use iCloud Drive. And I always try to caution people to be careful of what they're saving where, because when you start optimizing devices, it can be tricky to figure out where the actual originals are living. And we want to be sure that you have a full copy of your original pictures. For some people who want to have, that master folder, we want that on your computer, but some people have photo collections that are 125 gigabytes or more. And I have met some people who don't have a hard drive that big. So then you may need to utilize an additional external hard drive for working with your photo collection. And it should be backed up to another external hard drive, so your work is protected.
Great. Here's actually a very good question. Do you recommend that everyone sees all three parts before they get started on their projects?
Absolutely. If they want to start, this is what I would say is start by making a pile of all your drives, your CDs that you might have pictures on, anything that could have a digital picture, get a pile and start making a list for yourself of where all your digital pictures live. If you have them in multiple online storage accounts like OneDrive or Dropbox, write that down. Let's make a list of where all your digital pictures are. for printed, if you want, you can start collecting all of your printed pictures to one location in your house with, with the understanding that they're going to be there. I had a gal who, we were going to conquer this in October. And so when November and Thanksgiving rolled around, she had it all on her pool table and it wasn't done. And she had to pack it all away because of the holidays. So if you're going to collect all your printed pictures together, you know, be aware that it might take you a few months to complete that organization.
Great, thanks. We have a couple questions on here about, do you have any duplicate removing programs that you recommend?
Sure. For the Mac, it's Photo Sweeper. It's $10 and it's a great program, super cheap. For a PC, there's a couple out there. I have settled on using Duplicate Photos Fixer Pro. And I think there's an annual subscription and it might be like $42 a year. If you time it right, if you install it as the demo on your computer and then you close out, you should be able to get a 50% off for that first year. And if not, you can contact their support and tell them that tell them that you heard on YouTube or Facebook that they could get a 50% off coupon. It all helps. So I do want to tell people that duplicate photo finding programs are not the be all and end all. Sometimes they just miss certain duplicates and, you know, they're not perfect, but they do catch a lot. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you, where did it go? How confident can we be that sites like Forever will be around forever?
Yeah, I have the same question, and the bottom line is we don't know. Now, the money that people spend to have a forever storage, they pay a one-time fee for the storage. And a portion of that money goes into the Forever Guarantee Fund. And the founder of the company envisions Forever being around like Oxford, you know, an institution, hundreds of years. He can only say 100 years for marketing laws, but I feel like they have, you know, a great chance of being around. And I know a portion of the money is, you know, there's a fund. Now, I actually worry more about internet access being around consistently. You know, what is that going to look like in 100 years? And that's why I teach that, you know, you need to have your pictures in your house, you know, on an external hard drive, because if you don't have access to the internet, you don't have access to your photos at some of these sites. So it's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question and a great answer.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go? I'm looking through the list. How can we store the curated physical photos?
Oh, so you will see some pictures of this, but there are archival boxes. Once they're scanned, some people choose to use regular photo boxes, you know, from the local craft store. And I will have pictures of that in, I believe, next week. Maybe the following week, but we'll cover it.
How about what format do you recommend for saving photos digitally?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. Depends on what format you might be referring to. The digital pictures, ideally, you want to save them in the original format they were taken. Now, right now, I would say if you have an iPhone and you're taking hike pictures, that's the high efficiency format, we don't want those. But so that would leave JPEGs. But, you know, ideally, other than this hike example, you want to save them in the original format they were taken, if at all possible. Unless you're scanning pictures as TIFFs, with the intention of editing them and saving them as JPEGs. TIFFs take up a lot more space than the JPEGs do.
Great, thank you. So I have a couple questions on here actually that are a little bit more Photomyne focused. So I think I'll take these ones. When I share the Photomyne album, years worth, what is the best way to share with my family members? So there's actually a couple different ways. The best way to share with lots of family members is we actually have a companion app for Photomyne called Photomyne Share. And what this does is it's an app for your family members to download. And basically you share a code with them that is linked to your account. And then you can control which of your albums they can see through the app. And they can't edit the photos or anything like that, but they're able to view them all through this companion app. And we have an FAQ. If you go to our website, you can find FAQ about this, as well as within the app, you can find out how to share the code. So I recommend that, or check out our YouTube page. I believe we have an explainer video on that as well. In addition, someone asked, just because they were late, can we watch it again if we missed it? Of course, at the end of, once we're done, we'll take a few more questions. But after this, within the next couple of days, we'll send a recording of the entire webinar, this one, and then also for the following ones as well, once they're done. So if you feel like you can't make it live, we'll certainly send the video so you can at least have the full presentations there. Obviously, makes it so you can ask questions live. But if you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out to Photomyne support, to reach out to Mollie as well. Let's take a couple more questions. How does that sound?
Good.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's a couple questions on how to use whether to use a hard drive and which one. Is there a specific type of external drive to use that you recommend? Anything like that?
For external hard drives, I usually go with Western Digital, My Passport. That's our go-to. They've got good reviews, and we've had really good luck with them here. We use them all the time at Pixology. So Western Digital.
Yeah, Western Digital is great. I've used those in the past as well. Of course, they're just they're one of the giants in the industry, so it makes sense. They're very reliable. Mm-hmm. For duplicate photo programs, can you determine which ones you want to keep?
Yeah, duplicate photo programs will allow you to choose the parameters for selecting the duplicates. So you do get to choose, and you get to auto mark, and then you can review the auto mark and change it if you don't like what the program has chosen.
Sorry, I lost my mute button. Let's see, let's take a couple more questions. I have a Mac and I have a lot of pictures I've taken of things other than photos of people. Do I have to go through them manually and move them to a drive as well? I believe that would be helpful as well, correct?
Yeah, I think I'm understanding from that question that there's like photos for outside of the family photo collection. We like pictures you might take for work, and you're going to want to have a plan, for those. Sometimes, and you'll see this when I go into this in detail, but you might have a separate major category, and you certainly want to have a plan for them as well. You're going to be working with it all at the same time. So I would think so.
Is there an easy way to separate photos from, let's say, to separate the photos of people that you have in your collection from the ones that are maybe, of scenery or, more background shots, anything like that? Any suggestions?
I think there are options out there, like in Apple Photos or even Google Photos. And I think on Dropbox, you can search by landscapes or blue, I think. I'd have to double check that, but you can search by things. I hesitate to rely on what I consider to be artificial intelligence to do the organization for me. So I don't use those kinds of things, but I think that's a possibility in one of those programs.
Great, thanks. I think we've gotten to a lot of questions so far. If we didn't get to your question, like I said, please, if it's Photomyne focused, please feel free to reach out to us, through the Photomyne app and support, or you can email us support@photomyne.com. You can also send us a message on Facebook as well. And you can also reach out to Molly. We'll make sure to put her contact information. One of the things in the email that we'll send following there, we have right there, is if you're interested in booking some time with a call with her, that you'll be able to do that. But certainly check out her YouTube page, check out Pixology's website, check out Amazon for her books. Really, a lot of resources for you here. So we hope that this helps you as you start building your, you start sorting through your photos and organizing them well. We hope to see you next week on Tuesday again at noon. We'll be back again, Molly and myself. But until then, thanks so much, Molly, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry, before we go, one last note, actually. We can't forget this. Actually, if you're not aware, today is Amazon Prime Day. Today and tomorrow, Amazon Prime Day. So especially if you are digitizing your photos, specifically with Photomyne, perhaps, we are having a bunch on Photomyne's Amazon page, Amazon store. We're having a ton of sales for Prime Day on scanning accessories. So things like phone mounts, which help you, make your phone sturdy above your photos while you're scanning, or light pads while scanning negatives or slides, macro lenses for taking high quality scans of your negatives and slides as well. We have a bunch of different products that are all on sale. So please check out our Amazon store. And from there, you have a lot of helpful tools to really get the most out of your scanning project specifically. And again, I'll just reiterate that we'll send a link after this. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
I was just thinking if I could find it on Amazon real quick and then share the screen.
Oh, sure.
Let's see if I could. Did I get it?
There it is. There it is. Exactly. So you can see we have some deals. Let's say maybe you click on one of them. This is our store. Just if you search for Photomyne in Amazon, we have things for helping with photo scanning, and we have things for helping with organization, like boxes or gloves for handling delicate things. So please check them out. And like I said, for Prime Day specifically, we have a bunch of deals. So we highly recommend it. And I'll make sure to have a link also for the store in the email, so you can check it out that way too. But
whoops. All right, I was starting to shop.
I understand. It's Prime Day, you have to shop. But I guess on that note, so we'll see you next week, hopefully. And until then, take care. Thanks so much, Molly.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.